MMA is a sport that is just about as unpredictable as it gets, and considering the wide range of personalities that make up the sports community, it's only natural that things get a little crazy, even when the action stops in the cage. So for this video, we're going to be highlighting some of the craziest moments involving fighters that just so happen to be caught on film. These are 10 unexpected UFC moments caught on camera. Daniel Cormier. Words cannot describe just how crazy you would have to be to ever attempt what Daniel Cormier did on camera while sharing a ride with the hard-hitting heavyweight Francis Ngannou. Look, we all know Ngannou is a very nice guy, despite being the owner of the hardest punch ever in the history of MMA. But when Cormier decided to play a prank on the sleeping Cameroonian champion for a viral clip, he must have realized just how badly things could have gone. Noticing that the Predator had dozed off for a nap, DC decided to rub his hand over his fellow fighter's face, showing a total lack of fear in the face of instinctive reactions Francis might have had. Seriously, would you do the same for $10,000? How is that for a question to ask yourself? In the end, Ngannou simply smiled, but if you play with fire, you never know, you just might get burned. Justine Kish. We would almost feel bad for Justine Kish if she hadn't pulled off a pretty huge win for her career last time out against Ilima-Lei Macfarlane, because for a time Kish was known in the MMA masses for one reason and one reason only. Though a decent mid-level fighter during a time in the UFC, Kish was unable to really amount to any momentum, leading to her being cut from the promotion in 2021. For many people, the highlight of her time in the UFC octagon came during a losing effort against Felice Herrig, where Kish unfortunately lost control of her bowels mid-fight, leading to one of the most uniquely disgusting moments in the history of mixed martial arts. It's hard to know what to say about this one, except for the fact that it did give Kish some real attention from the media, ensuring that her name would be alive within MMA meme culture long after she retired. It was a rare sight in the cage and a moment that left more than a few fans totally shocked, but hey, it happens, I guess. Conor McGregor. Mystic Mac might not be hitting the nail on the head quite as much as he used to, but during his prime years as a featherweight contender, his ability to correctly predict the outcomes of his fights and his career as a whole was truly uncanny. Perhaps his most famous prediction of all came to pass when he took on the legendary Jose Aldo in the 13-second knockout that turned the sport of MMA on its head. What was truly crazy about this knockout was that Conor actually predicted exactly how the fight would play out just moments before walking to the cage.
I mean, if you can see it here, and you have the courage enough to speak it, it will happen. So I see these shots, I see these sequences, and I don't shy away from them. A lot of times people believe in certain things, but they keep to themselves. They don't put it out there. If you truly believe in it, if you become vocal with it, you are creating that law of attraction and it will become reality. I knew he would overextend, and I knew I'd catch him, so Mystic Mac strikes again.
Footage was released that showcased McGregor imitating the Muay Thai stance of his rival before then slipping out of range and hitting him with the exact same shot that he would eventually land in real life. Seriously, this side-by-side comparison between these two virtually identical sequences say it all. Conor knew exactly what Jose was going to do, and the fact that we have video evidence of that is truly shocking. Tai Tuivasa. The cameraman who continued to follow Tai Tuivasa all the way out of the cage after a stunning knockout of Greg Hardy at UFC 264 deserves an almighty raise. After delivering a brutal one-punch finish to the diverse former football star, it was only natural to expect that Tuivasa would partake in one of his trademark shoeies. But to see the dude hitting 3 or 4 shoeies in a row, including one aerial shoey and another shoe that also contained within it some of Dustin Poirier's hot sauce, yeah, that's a special scene right there. After losing a couple of fights in a row during his original rise, it was easy to write Tuivasa off as a prospect, but his recent run has proven that he's very much a big player in the heavyweight top 10. With massive power in his hands and a clear ability to find his opponent's chin, Tai Tuivasa is likely just one fight away from a title shot. And though he certainly would be the betting underdog against the elite of the elite in the division, one punch can change everything. Count him out at your own peril. Colby Covington. Colby Covington is one of the most committed characters in the sport of MMA today. In fact, there's an argument to be made that Chaos is biggest heel in all of combat sports right now. And while there are a number of major moments that could have made the cut here, for our money, seeing this welterweight contender cornering Dana White in a casino was something special. What's crazy here is that Dana had no idea that one of his fighters was about to ambush him and demand an explanation for his matchmaking decisions while he was in the middle playing cards. Dana, as some of you will know, is a higher stakes gambler, a man who actually has been banned by a number of major Nevada casinos due to his habit of winning big on the blackjack tables. On this occasion, the UFC president was able to brush it all off and remain composed, but you have to assume that he had some stern words for Covington backstage. In the end, Colby did get a shot at the belt, again losing to his great rival Kamaru Usman. But as things stand, even if he is 0-2 against the champion, he remains a very real title threat at 170 pounds, that is for sure.
Dana, what's up, bro? How you doing? How you doing? I just want an explanation why I'm not fighting for the belt this weekend.
Stop filming.
Come on, bro.
Stop filming.
I want an explanation, man.
Gambling. You too. Headlock, dude.
After 3 years out of the octagon, one of the greatest to ever step in, Jon Bones Jones is making a comeback in UFC 285 with his heavyweight debut. Get in on his title bout against Gane and all the other action on the card this weekend with DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the UFC and today's video sponsor. DraftKings is giving all new customers a winning offer. Any new customer that signs up for DraftKings using our promo code WATCHMMA and bets $5 on a pre-fight money wager for any fighter will receive an additional $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins. That's right, new customers bet just $5 on a pre-fight moneyline wager of any of this weekend's fighters and you'll get $150 in bonus bets deposited to your account if your bet wins. If you're wondering what you could use your $150 in bonus bets on, try out UFC Same Fight Parlays, where you can combine multiple bets from one fight, like which fighter will win and how many significant strikes they'll land. If mobile sports betting isn't available in your state yet, don't worry, you can still get in on the fun with DraftKings Daily Fantasy. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers who use promo code WATCHMMA and bet $5 on a pre-fight moneyline wager on any of this weekend's fighters and get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins. That's promo code WATCHMMA only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Remember, if you're enjoying our content and want to see more, be sure to leave a like before subscribing to the channel so you don't miss any of our weekly uploads. Chris Cyborg. Everyone always talks about how bad weight cutting is, but until you actually see the very worst effects in your own eyes, it really isn't just clear how drained these fighters can get. And though she's far from the worst example of a fighter cutting too much weight out there, the fact that we saw some incredibly harrowing footage of the former UFC featherweight champion Chris Cyborg really struggling to make weight was quite disturbing. If you ever needed to make an advert for how dangerous the practice can be, this incredibly revealing video of Cyborg's attempt to make 145 pounds is as worrying as it gets. In the footage, you can just see how much of a strain the cut is putting on her. In fact, her facial expressions told the entire story. As soon as this video landed, it went viral, and the response from the MMA community was one of outrage. The problem was that the UFC had brought Cyborg into the promotion without setting up a featherweight division, leading to her first two fights being contested at a catch weight of 140 pounds. This, of course, was an incredibly tough cut to make, and the UFC eventually relented, setting up the division that Cyborg would go on to dominate for years to come. Chuck Liddell. In the long list of truly bizarre MMA interviews to have taken place over the years, this Chuck Liddell classic is certainly well up there. Appearing on a morning television show for what should have been a fairly run-of-the-mill interview, the Iceman appeared to be totally out of it, slurring his words, making it immediately clear that he was under the influence of some form of substance. The interview was just about as awkward as it gets, as the hosts did their best to try and control the situation. Liddell's team made a statement claiming that Chuck had made a mistake with sleeping medication causing his drowsy state, but as far as we're concerned, someone should have really pulled the plug on this interview before it started, saving this longtime light heavyweight champ from the embarrassment it all did.
How long have you been doing this, and how'd you get started in this?
I was 12.
Yeah.
Watching Kung Fu Theater, and then Devils in between the clips.
Right.
And I really got interested in the clips and started teaching our books about it.
Dustin Poirier. Dustin Poirier has a pretty strong reputation as a nice guy, one of the more well-liked figures in the sport today. But when he engaged in a beef with his former training partner Colby Covington, the two-time welterweight title challenger promised us that all was not what it seemed. He went on to tell the world that Dustin is not so nice behind scenes, releasing sparring clips from the build-up to Poirier's shutdown with Khabib Nurmagomedov. In the clip, the Diamond is shown dropping his gym mate before roaring in celebration, in a display that seemed like overkill, all things considered. Naturally, the MMA community were pretty divided on this footage, with the majority of the people saying that Dustin was merely acting in the heat of the moment. Others, however, saw this as proof that Poirier was far more aggressive, overly competitive figure behind closed doors. All in all, it didn't seem like Colby managed to get the desired effect out of this move, but hey, we're talking about it, and that's gotta count for something. Jon Jones. During the earlier stages of Jon Jones' 205-pound title reign, there were whispers from certain parties that the goody two-shoes image that Bones was portraying to the media was not in fact his real self. People like Rashad Evans and Rampage Jackson were very vocal in calling Jon fake and insincere. But for most people, the real proof came during a TV interview from the build-up to his UFC 182 clash with Daniel Cormier. After doing his usual Jon Jones thing, playing respectful for the cameras, the interview concluded. But what Jones and DC didn't know was that the cameras were still rolling, and boy did they pick up something crazy. For the first time, we got a glimpse of behind the curtain as Jones began speaking freely to Cormier, threatening him with a very dark tone and overall demeanor. At one point, Jon even said that he would literally kill DC if he ever followed through on his own promise to spit on him. There was a certain coldness behind Jones's eyes.
You know I would absolutely kill you if you ever did something like that.
You could never kill me.
Oh, I bet you I could.
Khabib Nurmagomedov. And finally, we come to Khabib Nurmagomedov, one of the most popular fighters to have ever laced up gloves. Seen by many as a shining example of what a UFC fighter should be, the Eagle has earned himself legions of fans on the back of his mauling style of fighting, his cool, calm, and collected personality, and his clear integrity as a man and as a martial artist. But when a video went viral that showcased Khabib paying a homeless man to do push-ups, laughing at him all the while, it certainly stood as something of a black mark on his otherwise impeccable public image. It's hard to know just how to take the entire debacle, but quite a sizable portion of the MMA fan base have never let him live this one down. What's your own personal favorite unexpected UFC moment? Let us know in the comment section below. Again, if you enjoyed today's video and want to see more, be sure to leave a like before subscribing to the channel so you can stay up to date on all of our latest uploads. Thank you for watching.